Welcome y'all to the VRNation Station. We're diving deep into vacation.
Hey folks, welcome back again to another episode of the VRNation Station, your podcast for everything short-term rental related and some topics that probably have nothing to do with short-term rentals because you know me, I'm your host, Jamie Hanson, and I just love to talk. I have a guest with me today, Patrick Stewart. Patrick, I'm very happy to have you here. I really am. Again, very thankful. Patrick was, I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get him onto the podcast, and he shot a note back immediately and said, I can make it. Let's set some time up. So Patrick, why don't we do this? I'm just going to shut up and I'm going to let you tell these folks, you know, who you are and a little bit about your businesses.
Excellent. All right. So I know everyone that's listening is in the property management world. We are also. Big overview is this, the awesomeness of the industry that all of your listeners are in. In the US, it's a $70 billion growing industry. I think it's tracking to be $100 billion in less than 5 years. So what that means is the customers out there really like what you're providing. They want it. They prefer it to staying at a hotel. This is how they want to spend their money. And that's really an interesting thing given like economic conditions where if you were to turn on the news, it's always turn on the news. The only thing they report is bad things.
Right.
But if you were to get the real truth, it'd be like the shifting consumer demand is leaning into what you are providing. People go less to the mall to spend money than they did 20, 30 years ago. That's not what they want to do today. Today, they want the experience and they don't want to be at a hotel, but some do. I'm not saying that goes away. I'm saying more and more people choose to say, let's get into this thing that you're providing instead. So the industry is great. What Grand Welcome specifically does is we recognize that there's property managers just like you out there that haven't been able to unlock the real growth and profitability that's eluded them. Like you're working hard, but what you're really not seeing is the real big reward for your awesome entrepreneur spirit. You should have it. You should, if you are at 20 properties, be able to quickly scale to beyond 40, putting in no more effort than you are right now. So how do you do that? If you're at 50 properties, how do you get to 100 without putting in more effort, but becoming far more profitable? So becoming far more profitable for your efforts, that's what the franchise is supposed to deliver. That's exactly what we deliver.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. This is going to be a great conversation, Patrick. So obviously I work for Cabino. I'm a property manager. The growth, the opportunities, everything that's there. I'm the only franchisor that I've worked with in my past is Costco. I have, my feelings about it. A lot of great folks. I've never met anybody I don't like from Costco, either be it the franchise. When we talk about scaling and franchise, being a franchisee, what specifically is going to help somebody to grow, right? Like, because I've heard that talk track before, but in my mind, I'm going, there is a big difference between 10 and 15 properties, or 15 and 20, or 20 and 30. How does being a franchisee help? Maybe you could lay out the structure of how that's helpful.
Exactly right. So the fastest thing for people to do is ask them what's stopping, because it's different for all people. We cover a lot of different type of franchisees, hundreds. So everyone's not the same. But what every person in your listening audience can do is say, what's stopping me from doubling my profit right now? What's stopping you from doubling the quantity of units? What's stopping you from getting better quality? So let's just go through a couple of answers. One could be that a person has got 20 properties right now and them trying to answer their question, what's stopping me from 40? They're like, because it's way too hard. Well, which parts exactly are too hard? Is it the onboarding side? Is it the guest services side because it has to be 24/7? Is it the accounting side? Is it reconciling your invoice? So it can be many different things every person. The franchise is taking away the big pain points that are inhibiting your growth. The one thing that we want the property manager to do is have a great relationship with the homeowner. That's something that you should not want the franchisor to do. You
Right.
do that, probably do that great. It could be one of the things that you really like doing, if you have time. And when that becomes a sticking part, is like, I'm just so busy taking care of guests that have a problem. 24/7 guest services is manageable if you've got 3 properties. And if you, like, all of a sudden had to do 20, you're like, "This is now impossible." So you are trying to staff up, you're trying to manage expenses, and you're looking at your expenses and how difficult it is, and there's many, many pain points along the way. But if you can really analyze what's holding you back, then have a conversation with a grand welcome and see if we can't make all of those problems go away because we take care of it. So we've got a deep team that takes care of and does the biggest pain points for you, as long as you don't say, "Hey, dealing with homeowners is the thing that I
Yeah,
really
right,
don't."
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
taking care of my
yeah,
clients. That's that's my biggest
I'm
pain point. Yeah,
all
right.
for
No,
that.
like where my bread comes from. Yeah, no, no. That's the interesting part was right. So, Cabino's a different animal in a couple different regards, and so from my perspective, like we've always been, early entry into tech stack. We've been early. My pain point is homeowner acquisition. You know what I mean? And I've worked back with my friends at Vintory. I've worked back with Owners Point. I've worked back with, I built my own thing. But it's one of those where it's like, that homeowner acquisition piece from a franchisee perspective. Is that something that Grand Welcome helps with? Do you do that front end marketing, or is that something that's still, sitting with that property manager?
We help, and we help in several ways. So from, like, what I consider like the easiest and most obvious is a franchisee comes to us, but I put them into 3 general buckets. Hey, I'm not good at this at all. I cannot land a new homeowner, but once I get them, I can keep them. So I'm
Right.
not good at that. The second level is, if you give me a lead, I'm great at having conversations with people and convincing them that I'm the best. And another is, I want to be good at that, but I just don't know how to generate leads. Can you coach me on that? And if you teach me how to generate leads, then I can take care of everything. So we'll start with that last one. We've got a team that teaches you how to do the marketing that's going to drive the leads that then you can convert. I think that's a slow process, and people don't should not have the expectation that merely learning how to do really great marketing drives a result that's going to be seen in 3 weeks. It can
Right.
take 3 months, but then you all of a sudden have a flood of really great leads that you're ready to close. But count on it not being a few weeks,
Right.
more like a couple, could be 2 months, but don't count on it just being days or weeks. And that's if you said, it's you that's going to do it, or if you said, I'm going to hire an agency and let them begin on the marketing path. Second level is you just want to be given leads. So what we do is we have marketing partners that we work with that give a special rate and know exactly what they're doing because they're working with other franchisees. And so that's the lead generation engine. Hand you over the leads, you close them. And we also have marketing on the first part that I talked about. We have marketing partners that simply get paid a commission to deliver to you the homeowner contract. So if you're not good at that at all, we've got to solve for that. Within those 3 buckets pretty much constitutes everyone that we work with. The real key thing to know is marketing tactics change over time, the effectiveness changes. So the benefit of working with a large franchise is you've got hundreds of other franchisees that do want to share with you.
Their
They
success.
don't want to share with anyone else.
Right.
They want to share, here's what's working best now. It's
Right.
not like it was 2 years ago, not like it was 3 years ago. Could have changed even from what it was 6 months ago. So the more people that you have that really want to share what's best, you're in a strategically advantage position that's pretty much unparalleled. Well, where else are you going to get that that's specific to your agency?
Right.
You can have people that talk about things that work in other businesses, but doesn't work in yours.
Yeah, no, and that makes a ton of sense. And It's interesting. I know Vintori had done something similar with a mastermind group that they had worked with. That was, they did a great job, as far as putting people in a room together. You weren't in the same market, you were roughly the same size, and you could talk through things that worked, things that didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you can't downplay the strength in networking, which is one thing that
Right.
VRNation brings to the table too.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
networking with other property managers is obviously key. So I went down a salesy route because I had this business development hat that's stuck on my head. But when we talk about operations, right? So we talk about operational burden. When I think operational burden and I think of scaling, there are three things that really hit me. Just immediately jump in my mind, right? One is cleaners. The next one is customer care teams, right? And then the third one is, back office administration, finance, billing, things like that. So
Yeah.
maybe you could talk through like how that works from your perspective as far as like taking away the operational burden, or maybe there's something I'm not thinking of.
Well, we don't do the cleaning for anyone. What we do is train people how to go about when they join our franchise. Look, if you're already a property manager, you kind of have it figured out. But what we can do is network you with other franchisees that are near your market, so that you feel like you've got, like, you wouldn't necessarily, if you're on the West Coast, think that it's all applicable if someone's in, say, the Northeast. So within your general area, we want to put together huddles of other franchisees that can tell you, here's who I'm using for these services. These are good rates. Here's how I'm solving things. I'm maybe 3 times your size right now. And here's how I managed scaling quickly.
Gotcha.
So that's what we want to do, is we don't just want to have it so that you can scale. We want to give you the fastest path to achieving the success that you're looking for. And so the huddles that I speak with are one of the real key ways that we get the very best, latest learnings to you in the fastest way.
Sure.
So that was
Sure.
cleaning and everything else that goes into it. The finance side is different. We do a lot of the financial heavy lifting for our franchisees. That's one of the services that we do provide, as opposed to like the cleaning services. So we help people navigate, because as you scale, that gets more and more difficult. Doesn't get easier unless you have the type of support that you need. So think of it like a spreadsheet. If you've got things put into a spreadsheet, doesn't matter if you have 2 lines or 50. If it's built
Right.
right, it's all giving the bottom line answer. And you're like, it doesn't matter to me. It's all easy. So that's what you want your technology to do, is make it
Got it.
so that just as easy if you scale.
Got it. So when I think of my past life in financial services, it's really more of like a shared service when we talk about what your
Yeah.
franchisor is doing for your franchisees. I mean, really anything that's customer facing, that's still got to sit on the shoulders of the property manager because you're there. They're your people. You have to be present for that.
Right.
That's interesting. That makes a ton of sense to me.
Well, as you said, being present is one of our advantages in the way we run our franchise. We want local presence from our franchisees so that they get that face to face with the homeowner, because that's what makes it so well, homeowner wants a couple things. Wants to monetize their business. They want to monetize this investment that they've made. That's one thing. They also want trust. That's a big deal. They want trust that you're going to take care of that asset. And there's a lot of variety depending upon how luxury the property is, what priority that homeowner puts on the trust compared to the monetization. So there's a lot of flex there. They want both. And if you are local, you have got a big advantage over someone that's not.
Right.
Even they could get, you know, more promised revenue. It's not necessarily going to come true, but someone promising more, but is not local, it doesn't have the advantage of over someone that is local, because trust is so much greater. And, our tools, we really outperform everyone when it comes to actually driving a revenue outcome that is better than what they've experienced before. It's one of the big selling features, and we prove it. But I do want everyone to be local, because it's more difficult on them if they're not. Their life isn't really going the way they want it to if it's difficult to scale. So I
Right.
want it to be that people are both more profitable than they could have been and happier with the work life balance that they have as a function of joining our franchise.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. It's interesting. A lot of the industry discussions have been floating around, and I think I had seen something in like key data. Maybe it was I don't know, some email I got, but it was a key data discussion. They talked about technology, right? Like technology, like the next step is really technology. Maybe talk a little bit about your tech stack. Like I have an idea of how like a Costco has, like a common website that the franchisees would be a part of. Like, how does it work for Grand Welcome? Are you in the same situation? How's what's the difference?
Well, the tech stack that we use, the main platform is Guesty. We really like it. We switched over from Track about a year ago. Everyone's
Oh,
using it, and we've got really good partners there. I like them, the team over at Guesty, because they've got like 40 software engineers that are constantly evolving. So when we ask, because we're a really big client, when we ask for something to get made, they partner with us and make it, or they make an improvement to something. No one things that get more difficult for our franchisees, it has to be better, easier, more insights, more action, produce a really good result. That's really the driving force behind what we want our tech stack to be with everything that we use.
got
Price
it.
labs, we want it to be this tool so that it's easier for you to win and maintain business. And if you don't have really good, easy to use dashboards, for example,
Yeah,
to show what the revenue is going to be, it's awkward for you to have a conversation with the homeowner if it's not really easy to understand. So the tool has to be better so that you can win and keep business. And then, what we do from a tech standpoint, I think that speaks to the strength of our team is the onboarding with the different OTAs. And we want there to be a great variety of those OTAs because it's better for you as the property manager to not be beholden. Let's say that 90% of your business today came from Airbnb. My analysis would be that's like having all of your 401k
that's
in
not
like
good.
one stock opposed to diversified. I'm like, well, diversification thing is a safety net for you. So if you were overly reliant on one OTA, I'm like, boy, aren't you going to feel better if you're diversified? Because when they decide to make changes to their platform or something else happens, like you got a
Right.
review that you didn't like and now your property doesn't show up anymore, you are in a much better position. So we manage the platforms, manage the onboarding so that you don't have to waste time with it. But the platforms are Airbnb, Vrbo, Expedia, Booking.com, VK Home Connect, Hopper, Travelocity, Orbitz, and the list goes on. We believe in diversification
Right.
it drives a better overall financial result. It does that. That's huge. But the ability to know that you are not going to be hurt if someone's policy changes, you're going to be able to just withstand the stormiest of weather.
Sure.
That's the best. That's really the best.
So that actually begs a good question. So when I think of some just the base components of property management, because you make up what you were saying right there with the OTAs, and
Yep.
Josh is gritting the table because you brought up Airbnb, and I won't go there because he's had to cut so much in the past. But the point is like listing management has been a bugaboo of mine for a while. The OTAs have changed the rules on us just in the last 2 years, 3 times. Right. And it's been a negative impact on us for the most part. So the
Yeah.
question is, when you have your franchisees, are you building the listing management? Are they building their listings? Like, how do you guys manage through that process of coordinating photography and getting the write up and all that? How does that
Well,
work?
this is the thing. So everyone that's done it knows that it's a time consuming process.
Mhm.
We shorten the amount of time that you have to do that. You just give to us a big old bundle of everything that you know about something, including the photographs, and our team gets it loaded onto the OTA platforms in the
Gotcha.
proper way. And so you do have to get photos and even video. Um, and you have to know what there is about the property. But if you just gather all that information together, imagine just giving us a big folder full of info, then we get it sorted, ready for approval. You get to approve it. and then it gets launched on all of the platforms, including, and with the pricing, we have a team that says, here's exactly how to optimize the pricing. You might have to run that through with your homeowner just for alignment, but we take care of all of that as well. That's, and if you wanted to do it, we'd let you. We don't have a problem, but if you want the time saver, our team is there to do that.
Got it. Got it. And that would make sense to me. I mean, again, I think a lot of folks don't really get the gist of how painful it can really be, and my next question is really going to be more around the model, but this is something that I always think through as far as like listings go, because it's a constant. So listing management is a process. It's not an end game. It's a process, right? It's a living, breathing animal. That's part of just like it's in sync with revenue management, it's in
Well,
sync with.
yeah, and there's an art to it. So if you want to, and some of your savvy listeners know that there is actually an optimal quantity of photographs that gets you more highly rated and shown on those OTAs. You have
Right.
to have the right quantity. The quality matters. The way that the description has been written has an SEO benefit so that you're more visible for someone just doing a Google search.
Right.
There's a lot of art and science, algorithmic science, that goes into being able to be seen by the end user. And you can either choose to learn all that stuff or just go, hey, if you've got experts that already know how to do this stuff, let me just take advantage of that.
It's
And
huge.
so
I
that,
mean, honest to God, it's like the advice I give to anybody who's just starting out: find out what you're good at and do what you're good at. Find out
oh
what you're
yeah.
bad at and find someone else who's good at that to do that for you. Because it's like, as a team, you can force yourself ahead very, very fast, or you can spin yourself into circles trying to manage. Like I've
And
had,
and
oh yeah,
and you're exactly right. And the other thing is that if you are forcing yourself to do the things that you're not good at, you can get awfully discouraged.
yeah.
That doesn't seem like you're getting the traction that you want, or having the success, and you get mired in the negative stuff. And if there's a way to release yourself from all the bad and just focus on the good, whew, you owe it to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I always say too, because as you're scaling, eventually you're not just going to owe it to yourself. You're going to owe it to the people that depend on you, right? So you're going to have employees, right? And their paychecks depend on your decisions. And some of those early foundational decisions can have ramifications downstream. And that actually kind of pivots into the next question, which was just simply, so we talked about it. Tell me about your ideal franchisee. Like what's the size of them, right? So if I said, hey, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own and I'm just going to start my own property management business. Am I the right guy? Or is it, hey, I've got a handful of properties and I need some help? Like, what's the ideal candidate for be a franchisee?
To me, the ideal candidate is someone that wants to scale, wants to get big. This is where we're going to be able to help you the most. If you are content being like under 10 units, um, then you probably, are going to be able to achieve it. Might not be easy for you. That's not my
Right.
ideal. My ideal is the person who says 10, no, I'm already 10. How do I get to 40? That's great. If you're 40, you want to get to 100, talk to us. If you're 100 and want to get to 200, talk to us. And we've got programs specifically designed for property managers. We also, if you've got listeners in the audience that haven't done this, but are just fascinated by this topic, but they're not property managers yet, just want to have their first go of it, we've got the ability to do that as well. Getting people going there is slower than helping someone that is already in it,
Right.
does doesn't really need to learn the basics, just needs to scale. They're going to, I just think that that person's going to get bigger faster by joining us than almost anyone else out there. That's what we see with our current franchisees.
Got it. Got it. So where is Grand Welcome focused? I mean, obviously you're in the US.
Yep.
Are we West Coast, East Coast, South, North, Midwest?
We're
Are
all
we
over.
anywhere?
We're all over it.
Okay.
We're all over it. Any place that people really want to vacation, that's the demand that's out there from the end user. That's where the big sweet spot is. So if you are not in one of those areas, maybe consider moving. So that's where the big opportunity. Like, you can find places that are in destinations that no one wants to vacation. You're sitting there with the property going, why doesn't this fill? You're like, well, the demand isn't there. But if you can find a place that you know it has demand, don't let anything else stop you. Don't worry about regulations. Don't really let there's too many short-term rental restrictions. Like I'm on this call in the Napa, California area. And, not far south from me is Marin, California, where I used to live, which is Sausalito, Tiburon, Mill Valley. So that's the area just north of a Golden Gate Bridge. It's all beautiful country there and has lots and lots of short-term rental restrictions. Doesn't matter. We just signed a franchisee there. And let me tell you, the opportunity is big. You have to look past that and know that you can still become a very successful property manager, regardless of short-term rental restrictions. There's ways to just do beyond 30 in good destinations. My point is, we will find solutions and make you successful. Don't worry about government restrictions. We can navigate that. And navigating that also leads into expanding outside the United States. We've got a lot of customers that are asking us to open in several countries. I've got 5 or so. I don't want to name where they are, but 5 countries outside the United States. We have hot prospects that want to sign. There's some things that are different that are the legal restrictions. We're still getting past all those things. Let us work with our attorneys to do that. You don't have to. You can just focus on getting the relationships with the homeowners. Big opportunity for people you've got a lot of entrepreneurs in your audience. It's about overcoming hurdles and focusing on what you're good at. And then it's both fun and you get to be successful.
Right. Right. No, it's great feedback. And I think, I get a little wincy when I think about like, just go, just do. And it's like, that's a pure entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah.
Usually I'm the executioner of go and do. So it's like, I always get a little bit wincy when it comes to it. It's like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Cause you're right. You will. I mean, if you're dead set on it, you'll figure it out. And it's,
Yeah.
from up in Wisconsin here, it's funny. We don't really have a lot of property managers up here. And we have a few up in like our Northeast regions. And what I've just found is like the restrictions are not insurmountable, but for the layperson to just
Yeah.
get into it, the barrier to entry is really more of the hurdle than the
How far
fact
are
that they
you
can't.
from Geneva, Wisconsin?
I am an hour and a half northwest. I'm west of Madison. So, but Madison's a great example. You look at Madison, Wisconsin, you're like, oh my God, with the University of Wisconsin, there's got to be huge amount of opportunity. It's like, yeah, but the city of Madison has cranked the screws so deep on short-term rentals because of the student housing situation that they literally are just like, yeah, no, there's no way. Like, we're not going to allow it. Right. So there's there's illegal ones everywhere. There's a certain OTA that allows that. I'm not going to name names, but they're an
Yeah.
acronym that begins with an A. But yeah, no, but it is what it is, right? Like it's one of those where, as a property manager, you have to figure out how to overcome that. So some of the things
Yeah.
that I know like Cabino has done is we've looked at going into marketing only type stuff potentially and just going, maybe it's not a maybe it's not a full management situation. But again, you find the opportunities and you really dig in on them.
We,
You know what I mean?
we're having success with franchisees in several markets that have to overcome it. They're doing it. I'm really proud of them. Um, Lake Geneva that I mentioned isn't necessarily one that has the restrictions, but we got a really successful franchisee just been growing like gangbusters there. And the reason I say that is because some of your audience might say, Wisconsin vacation destination? Are you kidding me? But yeah, for
Chicago, it's the destination for everybody in Chicago. You have the fourth largest city in the United States, and in the summer, Wisconsin is just Chicagoland speak for vacation
yeah,
area.
that's
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah. So that's yeah. No, Geneva. I grew up down in the area, and I used to sail down on Lake Geneva, so I'm familiar. It's a great spot. It's a really great spot. I'm glad you guys are doing well down there.
yeah,
For sure. Just to kind of get back on point. So, when we think about your franchisees and metrics and practices, now you talked about your dashboard and that you got to have a dashboard, right? What kind of metrics and practices do you really flow with in regards to that grow faster, more sustainably so that you're not running out in front of your skis, just so that you can keep track of it. You're not feeling the pain of too fast and rapid growth.
for us or for the franchisee?
for the franchisee? I'm assuming you guys are the ones watching it.
Yeah. So for the franchisee, what matters to them is the annual, like total charges of a property. What can that represent? That's really a key indicator, because if they go for a property that isn't able to do X, I won't name what that X was because that just varies across the country, but
Right.
individually, a franchisee will know their market and know if it isn't producing this total charges annually, it's probably not a really great property for them to be managing. They should, if it's not enough, they should be seeking out higher quality properties with a new goal in mind that's higher, because the effort is going to, in most cases, be less for the property that generates higher revenue rather than lower. The lower revenue target in whatever market you're looking at means that that property isn't really great from a demand side. The end user just doesn't like it enough, but that homeowner is in the same position. They
Yep.
probably made a real estate decision that they're not in love with. And what if they've got a mortgage due for it and they're trying to monetize the whole short-term space, but they feel the monetization pressure because they owe the bank something?
Right.
So they're the squeakiest wheel ever, very time consuming for the property manager, and the property manager, rightly so, wants to exit them as soon as possible. But the type of coaching that we give them is, until you've reached a certain size, until you have enough properties, don't exit, because your reputation and being able to land another homeowner with confidence very much depends upon the quantity of properties that you have.
Right.
If you've got less than 5 properties that you're managing, you don't have enough to instill huge confidence in someone that has a really ultra premium property that you're right for them. So, and I've seen the mistake made in some of the most ultra best real estate anywhere. So imagine, like, hey, it's Aspen and I need to have a great reputation. And I
Yeah.
exited a bunch of lower performers. And I'm like, oh, don't do that until you get the bigger ones. Slowly do that. So
Right.
there's a lot of that goes into that. We can help you. And so can all of our huddles, can tell you exactly when the proper time to do it is. What you really can try to go for from annual revenue, there's that. There's also the number of nights stay. We do a lot of coaching because owners have a lot of preconceived notions about what a minimum stay is, because they want the right type of end user. They don't want
Right. They
someone that
want the
comes
right
in
guests in there. They're not going to tear it
nights, let's
apart.
say, but that's not necessarily what they'll call, that's the riffraff is staying for one night. Not always. You have to look at a bigger view than just the simple stats, because it can be misleading. We do like
Right.
looking, and we have really advanced dashboards for looking at all things, but I try to interpret what the meaning of these are and be aware of the pitfalls. That way you can look at dashboards and know where statistics can mislead you, and when you can fully have confidence in them.
So, interestingly enough, you made a comment about, like, we were talking about the destination. Say, wow, you got to pick a destination that's going to work for you. What would that be? Like, if you had to say, I mean, it's funny because when you were saying that, I just kind of went over, I was looking at your site a little bit and I'm like, oh, I see Geneva, Long Beach, Mammoth Lakes, Miami. Like, oh, I see a lot of these. Johnson, yeah, my home state. So it's funny. I always, I pick on it a little bit because there's, you go anywhere and everybody thinks that it's like, they look at the property values. They all think they're like sitting in Miami, right? Like, you're like, no, that's not going to work. But the reality is, like, what are the indicators you'd look at a market to go, you know what, that actually is a really good market to get into? Is it just quantity of, like, I mean, some people don't realize they can go literally on, some of the best sources of data are going to be VRBO, Airbnb. Just go on and do a little research and see how many properties are in the area, like how many are actually around that area.
That's exactly how we do it. We look at any market and someone reaches out to us and says, "Hey, is it available?" And look, if we already have a franchisee there, it's like, "No, we signed one already. We're not going to compete with them." We're reluctant to even sign close to them, because maybe that franchisee is going to want to
Right.
expand further to make their, and we see that a lot. So we give first right of refusal to our franchisees. That's who we give preferential treatment to. But if there isn't those barriers, what we do is we look at what the total market is going to bear, what the total potential revenue is, right? So that's a function of, here's the short-term rentals that are available in the area. We've got really good tools that show you the entire map, show what's available. So that's how we look at it. And we're really clear with this is what the potential is. We want eyes wide open. Join also depends on that. So we've got like a tier
Right.
2, tier 3, tier 4, different cost structure for each one of those. We want the person who's getting into the business to know here's what your outcome should be for you. You should know so that you can put together a solid business plan and have very specific goals. And we want to help you achieve them. So part of our approval process is to say, let's look at your business plan. Let's see how big you want to get. We want people that have a real big thirst for growing. And the reason we want that type of person in our franchise to be part of us is because people that are growing profitable and happy give the best testimony.
Right.
It's just the best business model. If we make a mistake having a person join us that really doesn't have those goals, we have a conversation with them and say, maybe this isn't for you. Why don't we just have a mutual termination? Because otherwise, joining a franchise is a contractual
Right.
agreement. But we want you out of it if you don't want to. We collectively say, hey, maybe this isn't a fit. And just as quickly as someone maybe entered into us, we'd want to say, hey, let's leave. So it could be that they've been with us a year, but things aren't working. We say, let's move on. And on the other side, we have people that love us that are growing quickly and becoming more profitable. That's what I really want. I want that so that they're able to tell the story and have others join. That
Sure.
lower expense for trying to educate people is just to have happy franchisees, which is also part of our process. We want people that want to join us to speak with other franchisees in our system to find out what it's really like.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So many questions are popping in my head, right? So I'm a small potato. I got one property. I've got visions, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, and I've got a line on 5 others, right? Because usually how it works is somebody starts with one, right? You always start with one, and it's probably your own. So I'm gonna start renting stuff out. My neighbors go, that's amazing, Jamie. You guys doing really good. We have so many people coming in the area. Would you take on our properties? And yeah, I'll take it on. And then all of a sudden the reality hits, right? Because as soon as it's not yours, now you went from one property with a certain amount of guests calling you at midnight to 5 properties with guests calling you at midnight. And you're like, ooh, I got to start scaling here. What are my options? Like, what's the cost for me to jump in to, for me to jump in and become a franchisee or even start down the path? Like, what's the lift to get into that level?
This is what I want people to go ahead and call us about and talk because it's going to depend on what size they are right now. So we've got special programs for depending upon the size you are right now. And we want people to be open to have conversation with us to say, here's my specific situation. And situations vary, like being a deal maker on behalf of creating really happier, more productive entrepreneurs. This is my commitment is that you benefit more from joining us than we do.
Yeah, no,
I was just telling one of our franchisees at the other day as he was looking to expand his territory. And I said, I want to make it so that you benefit far more than we do. And that's just a healthy way of creating a business that people want to be a part of.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree. And I find it interesting because then the next question of like, I'm going to flip that coin and instead of me being a smaller, more of I've got a proven model, but I want to
Exactly.
purchase a franchise. What if I want to say, I got I got something in Lake Geneva, but I got my eyes on Door County and there's a franchisee up there that wants to exit. Can I go up and purchase that
I put
franchise?
together deals like that frequently, and they change all the time because someone wants to buy out another franchisee. I've got 4 of them cooking right now.
Wow.
Depending upon how successful that franchisee's business is going to sort of dictate the price. But I try to be the person that structures open conversation between the seller and the buyer without me standing in the way. And in
Right.
most real estate transactions, you don't have that, right? You have agents that are preventing the home seller from dealing with the home buyer. Imagine how much easier it is. And it is easier, but there's not the big commission to be made. That's why it doesn't happen. But I
Right.
don't want I try to make it so that the buyer gets to speak with the seller so that the deal happens, and that makes things happen faster. It creates the best possible outcome for both parties. And that's the big win is I want the seller and the buyer to go away with the biggest win that they can. And what I usually try to do is just make sure that in the process that I've got someone that's committed to growth, because that's when they're going to be their happiest is if
Right.
they can work with the scale.
Right. It makes sense. And it's a de-risker as well. I mean, when you think about it from just a pure or whatever entrepreneurial
Yeah.
enterprise, like you're going into something and the body of potential exit strategy, as far as that's concerned, having the body of buyers that are there that know the model, that understand it, and somebody that helps facilitate those discussions. That's a very appealing concept for sure. Wow. Yeah. I think there's little bit to digest there. Patrick, that's something else that you've built. Really interesting. So we're kind of nearing the end of our podcast, and I want to just throw it out there. And I got one more question for you, but again, I'm just going to reach out to listeners, and I'm going to ask you guys if you can please, please, please throw out a review. Right, feedback is great. Follow, share with your friends. If there's information in here that you'd like to hear more about, please let us know. If you'd like to get a hold of Patrick and talk further about what Grand Welcome can do for you, we would love to be able to get you guys in connection with each other. And again, I'm so happy that you're here. But the one last thing I'm going to ask you, Patrick, and then
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up, I promise, because I promised a Friday afternoon, I'm not going to keep you too long. For people who are just on the fence and not real sure, or they're just, where they might be well established, I guess that doesn't really matter. What's the secret sauce that you're going to highlight about Grand Welcome's model? Like, what makes you the best?
Thing that we do that is the best is we've got a deeper team than anyone else has in the areas that matter the most to you. No one else is going to be able to drive the type of revenue for your property that we do. I mean, and it's our team doing that heavy lifting for you to ensure, and they can walk you through it and show you exactly how we're doing it. But nobody else has this. So if we are able to drive higher revenue for the homeowner, for the property, you make more, the homeowner makes more, you've got a better overall sales pitch. That's the single biggest thing. But the other big thing that matters is we're going to make it so that you get to scale the quantity of homeowners bigger and faster than you ever could on your own. And even if you were to compare it to another franchisor, we're going to be able to pace faster than they are as well. So if you know that if you got really big, that it would mean big profit, but for right now, if you said, oh, it would really be difficult, give us a look, because we take away that intimidation factor of getting big. If it gets easy and you're more profitable, this is exactly when the franchise is your best friend as opposed to trying to do it on your own. But you guys are entrepreneurs. Here's the big thing. You're still in business for yourself. You're just not by yourself.
That's a great point. It's a great thing to call out. And again, it's something. This is has always been a topic that I've been just so curious about, but just hadn't really delved into. So, Patrick, I really do appreciate you educating me and my listeners as far as like, what the franchisor relationship looks like, what Grand Welcome brings to the table.
Yeah.
I think it's really good for people. And I know there's a lot of, I'm just going to say, concern, doubt, maybe in the industry, right? And that's all sewn in by the negative news reel that we see every day, depending on whatever media outlet you look at. But there's help. There are people that can help you, and I think that that's probably the best way. When I think of this conversation and what Grand Welcome brings to the table, is it's going to help you to grow, and it's going to help you to succeed. And I think that's important to call out. Well, I just want to say thanks again, Patrick, for joining us on the podcast. And if, you know what, why don't we do it this way? Why don't you give just a little bit of final wrapper and how folks can come back, maybe get a hold of you and learn a little bit more?
All right. So the fastest way to get a hold of us, if you want to explore more, and this is all about you looking out for what's best for you, visit grandwelcomefranchise.com. You can set an appointment to chat with us. You could call us, email us. It's all there. You can explore and learn more all on your own there at grandwelcomefranchise.com. And again, like I'm saying, it's best for you just to look into your options.
Excellent. That's excellent. Well, folks, thank you for joining us. Very much appreciated. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, like, share, rate. We're really looking for feedback on anything. And if you have ideas or thoughts, otherwise, if you have questions about Grand Welcome, please reach out to Patrick and he will get you the information that you need.
Welcome y'all to the VRNation Station. We're diving deep into vacation rental sensations. From management tips to the latest creation, join us each week for some sparkle and conversation. VRNation Station, tune in and feel the thrill.